everyone, it's Maritza of the Sibyl Heart, and welcome to my channel. So I'm doing a collective tarot reading for Saturn in Aries, which is happening today. I was doing the tarot reading, but I realized that I forgot to press the record button. So I have some cards pulled already. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the reading. Disclaimers are in the description box. And I'm doing a Celtic cross for this reading. And I have the Three of Cups as the present or current energy. As a cross challenge, I have the Sun, which appeared reversed. But I do place it crosswise, so it I'm just going to make a note of it here. And then I have the Emperor as the foundation of the situation. So what I'm thinking when I see these cards, oh, by the way, Saturn in Aries, I have notes on my website which you can access through the link in bio. But the main thing for Saturn in Aries, the main theme is like it's a time for personal and collective maturity. And I'm thinking that we are also going into a new phase of our lives. And we are bringing that maturity into this new phase. So because you've done some personal growth and development, it's likely that you are not you're seeing your friends in a different light, and while they are still your friends, there's like specific times when you need different people in your surroundings. So or put in a better, more clear way, is you've outgrown your friends. Even though they're still your friends, they're a different kind of vibe than what you are now growing into. And I feel like with the Emperor, I'm thinking that you are now setting, you're like setting schedules, like when it's a good time for you to hang out with your, with the friends that you've always hung out with, and then when it's a good time to hang out with the friends that you are currently you're testing the waters to see if it's an atmosphere that you enjoy being in. And like, so you have your old friends, right? And then these new friends, they're possibly related to work. Like you're getting closer to your coworkers and you're actually becoming friends. But it's in that type of energy where you're not sure if you're going to be, just work friends, or if you're going to start hanging out outside of work as well. So it's in that kind of limbo state. Then we have, in the distant past, we have the Three of Swords. And that makes me think that this is coming from this new level of maturity, or this new personal growth and development is coming from a disappointing relationship. And I'm talking about friends still. Possibly a relationship, a friendship fell through. And it left you feeling disappointed with your old group of friends, where like it's possible that they were being immature. And that was the wake up moment where you were like, I don't want to be this immature person anymore. I think it's time to distance myself from this group. But you still, you are loyal to your friends, so it's difficult for you to gain that distance. So you are trying to figure out how to schedule your time so that you don't feel like you're trading one group of friends for another. And eventually it might get to that point, but right now it's it's in that kind of in-between state where you're kind of trying to figure out how to maintain both friendships while not giving I guess favoritism to one or the other. Then we have the Ace of Cups as the crown of the situation, and that makes me think that you are willing to maintain the old friendships and the new friendships that are forming, because you have that affection to give. It's an overabundance of affection. And you maybe not an overabundance or an overflowing of affection, but it's like there's no limit to the friendship that you're able to give. It is not a situation where one group is better than the other. It's more of like they both have their qualities and their benefits and their faults. Like, I guess we could say the friends that you've been hanging out with for a very long time, you're seeing that in some ways they haven't grown up, especially when they're all together. And then with the other group of friends, they don't necessarily have to be work friends, but with this other group of friends, like, one of the cons of this group of friends is that you only get to see them occasionally, or it feels like you only get to see them whenever they have the time, and not and they don't really schedule these meetings or these like social events around, like they don't even include you in the planning of the social events. You know what I mean? At least not yet. So that's like the drawback, and it might be a pattern that continues through the friendship. I'm seeing the 3 of Cups and the 3 of Swords already. Like my brain already wants to combine them, and I want to say that there's something happened where you may have felt excluded from something, and that was like the final straw, so to speak, where you kind of realized how immature one or both groups were being. But I mean, that's a case where I'm like getting more specific with the situation, so it might not be something that's happening in your individual life. Then we have the Strength card reversed. The Strength card reversed. Well, first of all, the Strength is Leo, and when it's reversed, it makes me think of Leo in shadow, or the later half of Leo season. Oh, and it's in the near future position, which makes me think that the later half of Leo season will be when some of the stuff that I've been talking about will become more of an issue. But I feel like I'm getting ahead. Strength reversed. So one thing I'm getting from Strength reversed is that you may be feeling insecure in your friendships, and so it might cause you to behave in the word that is coming up is unsavory, but like that's because I've been reading a lot of George R. R. Martin books. But so this may be a moment where you're not acting in your right mind. You may be feeling triggered or having feelings of fear and anxiety, and even possibly giving into your impulsiveness, or having less patience. And this all could be stemming from the feeling of you're losing your friends or having to make new friends, which is apparently really, really difficult the older a person gets. Okay. Then we have the world reversed, which is Saturn. Oh, okay. So we have this card for Saturn and the card for Aries. And Saturn is reversed, which is Saturn retrograde, but I'm getting ahead of myself because Saturn retrograde won't be happening until July, I believe. Where's my calendar? Yeah, not until July. Oh, wait a minute. So, hold on. I'm seeing strength reversed. Oh, no. Okay. I was wondering if Saturn retrograde was going to happen during Leo season, but it's just a few days before. But at any case, that's something to look out for. This feeling of the fear of losing your friends and the anxiety of having to make new ones. Let's see, the world reversed. Ooh, okay. You may have a sense of unfinished business. So there might be something with your old group of friends that you feel like you can't let them go yet, even though they, are no longer, you've outgrown them. Even though you've outgrown them, you feel like you can't let them go because there's some unfinished business with them. And I'm seeing the Emperor, and I'm thinking you might want to force them to grow with you, to mature with you, but this is something that has to happen on an individual level. When people are ready to mature and dive into their own personal development is their own thing to decide, and it's not something that can be forced. And really, if it's something that is forced, it's something that will not give them the same fruits as it has for you. like if they're not ready to receive the message, they will not receive the message. It's not something that can be forced for them to learn. But you feel like it's something that they need to learn, right? Because you see like that they haven't grown, that they haven't developed in terms of personal growth. Like they to you, they still feel like they're stuck in past behaviors and they haven't grown from them, and it's like you can see the immaturity, right? And you're kind of done with that phase of your life. But they're not ready. They're not ready to grow as you have. And you're trying to make them see, but the issue now is the obstacle is that this is something that cannot be forced if they don't feel they need to. And the World card reversed, it holds this feeling of like you feel like you need to stay because you want to open their eyes. But they're unwilling. They are unwilling to open their eyes. They're not ready for it yet, is the feeling I'm getting. Then we have the 10 of Wands. So from the 10 of Wands, I'm getting the sense that this is something that you're imposing on yourself. You feel like this is your responsibility to bear, when in fact that is not true. This is a them problem. Like this is something they have to go through on their own and see this is something that they have to see for themselves. If they're not ready to see how immature they're being, then this is a case where you just have to let that be. And it's either you stay and you kind of dampen your own personal growth and development, or you sort of keep your distance, like I've been saying, with like there are certain times when you do need that type of energy, and there are times when you just have to stay away because it's sort of like making you become that immature person as well that you used to be. But it's not your responsibility to open their eyes. That is something that they have to do for themselves, because they'll remain blind. They won't learn anything if you tell them what you're seeing. And also they won't hear it either, because it's just something that they're not ready to understand. For hopes and fears, we have the Tower card, which makes me think that some of you are going to kind of force your hand to open their eyes, and it's not going to go well. The other thing I'm thinking is that this is going to be a time of unpacking emotional you're going to unpack emotional baggage. So once you feel like you are able to open the eyes of your immature friends, you're going to start, you may start to like berate them with how awful they were being. And maybe they weren't even that bad, but just like how immature they were being, how silly they were being, because they were grown-up people acting like teenagers. And that affected you in this like emotional way, and you were carrying it around with you for quite a while. And then the other message I'm getting, for those of you who aren't going to try to force their eyes to open, you're going to just let them be as they are, right? Because sooner or later, they're going to have a wake-up call. And you are going to stand by, and if they ask you for guidance, then you will provide it. But if they don't, you will stand by, but like keep your distance. You're not going to make it known that you're there for them, because this is something that they need to learn and grow, that they and know that this is something that needs to be done essentially by themselves. But if they need the guidance and they ask for it, you will provide it, because that in a way also shows a sense of maturity and understanding, like an understanding that they need help, and that there's like, they understand that there's nothing wrong in asking help, right? So you're only going to provide the help if they ask for it. And it's not something that you're going to give freely. Like, you're not going to... Essentially, what I'm trying to say is you're setting boundaries, right? So, you're setting boundaries, and you're doing your best to be a guide, but not the type of guide that is always there. It's sort of the type of guide that is that only gives the required wisdom when asked. And then for the outcome, we have the Moon card. So the moon card is about instinct, about secret truths. I feel like one of the ways to interpret secret truths is to say personal truths. These are truths that will not be true for everyone, but they will be true for you. Like let's say, for example, I believe in tarot cards, but not everyone does. So that's a personal truth. So with the moon card, we're also talking about the shadow aspect of the psyche, and that's interesting because the sun card appeared reversed. So did the world card, the strength card, and now we have two other shadow cards with the tower card and the moon. So I think what you're trying to do now is to be more of an intuitive person and possibly a more spiritual person, and that is not something that your friends are showing an interest in, and perhaps that's what you're trying to open their eyes to. But again, that's something that should not be forced into. You can't force people to be more spiritual. They have to come into it on their own, if at all. In terms of astrology, I've spoken a little bit about it before, but we have the sun, which is the sun, and it appeared reversed, so I'm going to say the later half of the year is going to be important. We have Aries with the Emperor card, and that is Aries season happened in like March and April. So maybe all of this went down in Aries, or all of this began in Aries season. Then we have the World card reversed, which is Saturn. So with Aries and Saturn showing up in a reading for Saturn and Aries, this is the thing that's going to be fully manifest right now. With Saturn, with the World card being reversed, it represents Saturn retrograde, which won't happen until July, mid-July at some point. And when Saturn is in retrograde, when Saturn is in retrograde, that's when we want to think about the necessary limitations and like the undesired responsibilities. So like you self-imposing this responsibility of getting your friends to grow up, in a sense, is an undesired obligation, like, or like a responsibility that isn't yours, but you feel like it is. I feel like Aries is saying, like, you feel like you should be the one to get your friends to grow up. But Saturn is saying, no, that's not something that should be forced. More esoterically, this could be a time when karmic lessons are becoming known to you. And what I mean by karmic lessons, these are like lessons that carry a universal truth that maybe perhaps you didn't understand before, but now you're kind of revisiting them. And you have a more like familiarity with how that karmic lesson plays out. And you're like, wait a minute, I should do something different than what I've done before. With the Tower card, we have Mars, which rules Aries. And this is where that forceful energy is coming from, where you want to be the one who you want to be the one to make your friends grow up and become more mature like you are. But that is not, again, also with the Strength card reversed, like your approach is too aggressive. And so there's going to be a distance between you and your old friends. And right, and I think I skipped over the Strength card reversed, which is Leo in shadow. Which the shadow aspects of Leo is that they are egotistical and power hungry and attention grabbing. So this is where that, not only is it coming from the Tower card, but it's also coming from the Strength card reversed. And it's creating, it has this energy of like creating an even bigger rift between the old friends, the quote immature friends. And then we have the Moon card, which is about so I think one of the things that the moon talks about is the urge to nurture. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your friends to grow up, as I've been saying. You're trying to get them to mature and see things the way that you do. And that comes from a sense of caring. You care about your friends. You want them to be adults. but forcing them is not the way. That will just create an even bigger rift than there already is. And yeah, that's all the astrology. And someone who knows astrology and tarot much more fully than I do will say that there's astrology in every single card, but I don't feel it's necessary for me to learn that. What I know is useful enough. In the way that I personally read the tarot cards, the astrology that I know is helpful enough. But yeah, that is the reading for Saturn and Aries. If you are turning 30 or around there, 30, 60, or 90, you are now going through a Saturn return, which is a moment of, like, if you going through a Saturn return, it's going to be a moment of great personal transformation. And it's time to come terms with your earlier life experiences. So, like, whatever emotional baggage that comes with your life experience, it's time to kind of unpack that. And I was saying that before too. It's also a time where you can reinvent yourself and transform yourself into the person that you feel that you are on the inside, but don't necessarily express on the outside. So yeah, and then for the rest of us, it's a time it's going to be a time of self-doubt, but that self-doubt is going to push us into a more mature confidence that isn't going to be based on how good it makes us feel or like receiving outside validation. It's going to be like self-validation that we're looking for. It's also going to be a time for testing patience and seeing if once our patience runs out, if we persist and keep going. So there's that to look out for too. Okay, that is it for this Saturn and Aries reading. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know that you exist by liking this video, leaving a comment, and subscribing if you haven't done so already. All right, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye!